Hello, hello, hello. How's my good people of the Book of the Face today? Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday thus far. Or had a good Monday. I guess it's toward the end of it. Depends on when you go to work, I guess. As always, just give a couple of minutes as I sit up and see who all gonna come and join the party. And we'll go ahead and get started. Time good. Gotta set my timer, or we'll be on here all night. If I don't know what time it is, I just keep going like, oh, it's early. Shoot, y'all don't want that. I'm telling you, I don't want that. Still got a little cough, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's this. And it's a weird little illness because I'm not sick. I'm just like my throat's a little sore, but it ain't all the way sore. I got this little cough, but it ain't all the time. I put a couple of phlegm. It's like a mild cold. It's weird. I've never experienced this ever in my life before. Either I'm sick or I'm not. I said I got me another cup. The other one, I just couldn't do it no more. It gave out on me. Got to a point where I couldn't do it no more. It wasn't even like it was not only making a loud noise. It wasn't even bringing up no water. So like I love my baby girl, but I gotta let this cup go. Had to let it go. We'll just get like probably another minute, just see who all comes in, then I'll go ahead and get started. There. So like 3 or 4 after, so I'll get this adjusted, then I'm just gonna go ahead and jump to this lesson. Oh man, my forehead. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all say I got shined up this weekend and I was blinded. My goodness. All right. So again, how everybody doing? Hope y'all having a wonderful Monday. This was the second Monday in June. The second, yeah. Actually, my oldest son's birthday today. So talked to him a little bit earlier. But been a pretty good day so far. Started off really good, and I'll tell y'all about that toward the end of the lesson. I want to get off on a tangent, but it started off pretty good for me, and it's been a pretty good day, pretty chill day. So like I said, I feel a little bit better. I still got this little, I don't know what it is. I don't know what to call the crud or what. It's just I cough every now and again, and it's at the worst times possible. And I come up some phlegm every now and again, but I'm not really coughing up phlegm all day like I'm sick. And like I said, my throat's been a little sore, a little scratchy, but it ain't sore. Like it's weird. It's like I said, it's just like a mild cold, which I've never had before, so it's weird. But I'm here for y'all. Feel a little bit better than I did last week. Definitely. And I do apologize to anybody who watched last week. And I'm like, man, like I said, I wasn't feeling good last week at all. But I definitely feel a little bit better today. And it was a little bit of the little crud I had, and I was a little tired as well. So I'm feeling a little bit better, got a little bit more energy today. So I hope I can bring out another lesson that'll help you continue to build your relationship with God and help you continue to see the importance of being obedient in that relationship with the Lord. So I hope everybody's having a good day so far. Of course, before I get to talking too much, Brother John Stewart, on behalf of River Lake, representing River Lake Baptist Church in the Lost Sheep Ministry, sponsored by River Lake Baptist Church, here to bring y'all a lesson this wonderful Monday night. I love doing these lessons with you guys. I'd be so excited about it. That's why I felt so bad last week that I didn't have the energy that I normally have, because I always get excited about doing these lessons, sharing these lessons with y'all, because as y'all can tell, I just love talking about me some Jesus. So appreciate everybody that's been here, listening to the lessons, watching the lessons, being faithful to the lessons. I really do appreciate that. And I just hope y'all are being able to be helped. Hope these lessons, y'all not just getting in here to look at my pretty face. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping, and my shiny forehead, I'm hoping these lessons are helping you, and you're getting to, taking the words and the wisdom that I'm sharing with you, and you're using it to build your relationship with the Lord. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into a quick review over the lesson that we covered last week. So we started a few weeks ago. We started another series. I know all my lessons in series, because I can never get to more than 2 or 3 points in a lesson, so it always end up being series. But we started a few weeks ago on obedience. The title of the series overall is Obedience and Blessings, or Disobedience and Curses. And of course, we've been talking about how each one of us have to make that decision every day. Every day you have to make a decision. Every day you wake up, you have to make a decision. Are you going to use this day to be obedient to the Lord? And if so, then you get the blessings that come with that obedience. Or you're going to use it to be disobedient, disobedient and do what you want to do. And if you do so, the curses that come with that. And we talked about, of course, we went over when Moses was giving out the law. I think it was in Deuteronomy, the Numbers. So I think that was when the first lesson where he said, no, choose you this day. I'm giving you life or death. You have a choice between life or death. And really, when we choose to be obedient or as opposed to disobedience, we really are choosing life or death. So I've been kind of doing a comparison. And so far, the first 6 points have all been about the blessings of obedience. But the majority after tonight, as we get through the first 6, we're going to start seeing a little bit of more of this. We're going to start seeing the disobedience come to play. And so you can have the two comparisons. You see the goodness of being obedient and the things the blessing that come along with that. And we're going to also see the bad that comes along with being disobedient. So the lesson I shared with you last week, the first lesson was lesson number 1. Of course, this is lesson number 4. So lesson number 1 was just an introduction. Lesson number 2 covered the first 2 points. And then lesson number 3, which I did last Monday, covered the second 2 points, which was point number 3 was being drafted into the army of Christ is a blessing of obedience. And, we just talked about how when you make that decision to be obedient, you're being a faithful soldier. And the army God can't use you in his army if you can't be obedient. Because, and I talked about how the Lord don't control you. He can't control you because of free will. So if you can't control yourself, then you're useless. He can't use you in the army because you have no self-control and there's no control to you. You're going to, at the time of need or in the heated moment, you might go the opposite way and abandon the field, or so to speak. So you got to have a certain amount of obedience and be disciplined in order to be in the Lord's army. But if you do have that obedience, then the Lord will draft you into his army, and there's nothing more honorable than that. Because we're all in the army, we're all fighting, and that's what kind of the point I made. We're all fighting. We're all in the middle of a spiritual war that's raging on all around us that neither one of us can really see. And based on the decision that you make, whether you're making that decision to be obedient or to be disobedient, it determines which side of the war you're on, which army that you're fighting for. You're fighting for the God's army, or you're fighting for the devil's army by default, because the Lord said, of course, if you're not for me, then you are against me. So that's kind of what we went through with point number 3. And of course, I gave you several different examples and talked about things of that nature. And if you want to see that video, go back and watch lesson number 3, because that's the lesson we did last week. If that point interested you, then go back and watch lesson number 3, because that's what we covered last week. The other point that we covered last week was point number 4, was the ability to be obedient is a blessing of obedience. In other words, I just talked about how, again, it's a conscious decision. And just like with anything, they always say practice makes perfect. And the reason why practice makes perfect, because if you're practicing all the time, you're doing it all the time, then you get better at it. It comes natural to you. And I kind of talked about that last week. Like once you get into a habit of being obedient, it comes natural to you. You won't have to work as hard. It comes so natural to you because you do it. And it's just like I said, with everything else, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And that's why I say the ability to be obedient is a blessing of obedience. Again, just take some practice. When I started my soul winning, it wasn't easy, but I just kept on going. And it ain't that it's easy now, but it is a lot easier for me. It's a lot, I'm not as nervous when I go out, and I seem to be a little bit more effective than I used to be. But it's not, again, just because I'm being obedient, not because I done got better, I done taught myself anything like that. It's just because when I go out there, being obedient, going out there, the Spirit always goes with me, and it enables me to do the work that I do. So that was point number 4 from last week. Good evening, Miss Alicia. How you doing? Hope everything is good down there your way, down there in Dixon. Appreciate you making it in here. Hope you and Mr. Leo is doing okay today. So I'm just finishing up my review, really. Haven't started the lesson for the night yet. Just wanted to do a quick review and let everybody get in. And like I said, that was the video from last week. So if number 3 interested you that I just covered in a review, or number 4 interested you, go back and watch last week's video, and you can see how I kind of went into the details on those 2 points, those 2 blessings that comes along with being obedient. So now we're gonna go to a couple more blessings that I'm gonna go through, and I was gonna do 3 points tonight, but the third point is gonna start getting into disobedience, because so far we just been seeing obedience, and I told y'all this lesson as a whole is gonna be a comparison of obedience to disobedience. So we're gonna start getting into the disobedience. So I'm just gonna finish up these other 2 points on obedience and some of the blessing that comes along with obedience, and then Lord willing, next Monday we'll jump into the curses that come along with disobedience, and we'll kind of see the things that we bring into our lives when we make the decision to operate outside of the will of God. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pray, and we're going to jump into this lesson for tonight. Dear Lord Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us tonight. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and bring this lesson, Lord. I know I'm still got a little bit of crud. I don't know what this is that I have, Lord, but I can't let it stop the word. And I thank you for giving me the strength to make it through it and be here to present this word tonight. And thank you for all the people that's tuning in. I know it's a Monday night, and Monday's always rough on most people, and they can choose to be anywhere else, but they want to be here to hear your word. And that's an encouragement to me, Lord. And I pray that I'm able to encourage them in their relationship with you. I pray you send your spirit upon me to give me the energy I need so I can bring forth this truth, even with the coughing and all that good stuff, Lord. I pray it don't be too disruptive. But more importantly, I just pray your spirit work through me, Lord, so I can bring out a truth that'll help somebody strengthen their relationship with you. And as always, I pray you see your spirit upon their hearts as they listen to this lesson, getting the want to and the wisdom to gain this wisdom I'm giving them. I pray it's sink into their heart, and it's planted, and it comes full. It brings forth, a faithful, a bountiful harvest, Lord. And I just pray you just use this time that we'll get into your word tonight to help us all become closer, come closer to you, and help us all to have a stronger relationship with you, and to be willing to and be involved in a strong relationship with you than we were, a stronger relationship than we were when we started this lesson here tonight. Use this time as always. Let your spirit guide my words, guide my thoughts, guide my heart, so I bring out a truth that'll help honor and glorify your name and actually build your kingdom. We thank you for all you've done and given, and say this prayer in your wonderful Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Told y'all just the most inconvenient time I get this little cough, but it's just so weird. It's not bad. It's not a bad cough. It's annoying more than anything. So I got a peppermint right here and got some water. Hopefully that'll keep it at bay. But until then, we're just gonna go ahead and chug on through this lesson. So again, we've been talking about the comparison of obedience and disobedience. And of course, you got any kind of common sense, you know that being obedient is the best option. But it's not the easiest option. It's the best option, but it's not the easiest option. That's why a lot of us don't choose it. I actually was reading in Ecclesiastes this week. That's when I was in my reading, and it kind of made a statement over there. He said the reason why most people don't choose to be obedient and do right is because the penalties for not doing so don't come quickly. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times you can do stuff a million times and get away with it, and then it'll be, maybe years later we'll finally catch up with you. But when it catch you, it's gonna catch you. Or even if it don't catch you in this life, it's definitely gonna catch you in the next one. You step before the Lord. So, so again, it's the best decision. The decision to be obedient is the best decision, but it's not always the easy decision. So we're going to look at some more blessings. Like I said, I got just prepared 2 points tonight because I want to fill up the blessings portion, and we'll get to talking about the blessings that come with obedience portions, and we'll get to talking about the curses that come from disobedience in the next lesson, Lord willing, we make it through next week. So with that being said, turn over to 1 Samuel chapter 15. Well, actually in 15, we don't hear that the dip in 14 at all. I know we was there for quite some time, but we're actually going to be in 1 Samuel chapter 15 tonight. I'm going to start here in verse, let's see, I'm going to go ahead and start in verse 1 of 15, and it's just going to encapsulate the point that we shared, number 4 from last week, but it's going to take us into our number 5 point of this week. So, of course, if you're watching for the first time watching my videos, and you want to read along with me, I'm reading out the New Living Translation. So if you read the King James, it is not saying the same thing I'm saying. That's why I am a King James believer wholeheartedly, but I really like doing my lessons out the New Living Translation. Just a lot easier for people to understand and a lot easier for me to explain instead of having to go back and explain every single word in King James. But with that being said, the Lord tells us this over in 1 Samuel chapter 15. It says this. It says, one day Samuel said to Saul, I anointed you king of Israel because the Lord told me to. And of course, that was point number 4, where I said the blessings of obedience is being able to be obedient, something like that. So that was point number 4. So then after that, he said, now listen to this message from the Lord. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I have decided to settle accounts with the nation of Amalek for opposing Israel when they came from Egypt. Now go and completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation. Men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, camels, and donkeys. God wanted it all gone. You know what I'm saying? God wanted it all gone. And he said, go back and destroy everything. So the situation, if you don't know your Bible, the situation happened when Israel first came out of Egypt. As they was trying to, on their way to the promised land, they walked through the wilderness for like 40 years. And before that, they had a little time that they was walking through, trying to get to the promised land. And there was several different, groups of people or different nations that tried to attack them while they was vulnerable. Because you got to think about when Israel came out of Egypt, they had been slaves. So they didn't have like an organized army, so to speak. They didn't have weapons and things of that nature. But they had a lot of people, and of course they had God on their side. So even when they did get attacked, they ended up winning, the battles, because God fought for them and fought with them. But it was a lot of different nations that tried to attack them when they was on their way to the promised land. And these Amalekites were one of, the nation of, Amalekite, Amalek. I'm saying it wrong. Hold on, that ain't, Amalek. And they called them Amalekites. That's why I was getting mixed up. But this nation, these people of this nation of Amalek, they opposed Israel when Israel came out. They tried to attack them when they was at a weak point. And of course, we know that Israel is God's chosen people. So these people were messing with the apple of God's eye. So God said, now it's time, now you're establishing everything. It's time, now you got your king. It's time for me to settle my accounts. You know what I'm saying? They finna have to pay for what they did. So he told him, he said, I want you to go in there, and he said to destroy the entire nation. And look at how serious it is. He said, I want you to destroy the entire, he said, and if you look at the King James version, he said utterly destroy. In other words, I don't want nothing of these people left because they messed with my folks. And he said, destroy the men, the women, the children, the babies, the cattle, the sheep, the camels, and the donkeys. Kill everybody and everything. So that shows you God don't play about his people, his chosen people. And that's what something you got to understand. God don't play about his people. He don't play about his chosen people. And if you're being obedient to the word of God, if you're doing the best you can, nobody can be fully obedient. I'm still not fully obedient, but that's your efforts. I try every day. I wake up every day with the intentions of doing exactly what God wants me to do, going where God wants me to go, doing what God wants me to do. I work, I actually put in an effort, a valid effort to be obedient. So, because I put my faith and trust in the Lord. So if you're one of those people, if you're being obedient, you work every day at being obedient, you wake up and like I was talking about, you wake up and make that decision to be obedient, day in and day out. Even when you slip, you still wake up the next day. You might have slipped Monday, but you wake up Tuesday, ready to get back to it. If you're one of those people, then you are one of God's chosen people. And it shows you, as you can see from the verse there, God don't play about his people. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, he said, those that obey me love me. You know what I'm saying? He said, those that obey me are my friends. And that's something Jesus stated. Of course, I know I quote that all the time, but I quote it because I try to help you see how important it is to be obedient. Because when you become obedient, it shows God you love him, and it shows God that you are his friend. You know what I'm saying? So when you become obedient, when you're obedient, that's how you get those blessings. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get those blessings, by being obedient, because you come as friend. And think about how many of y'all have a friend that you would do anything for. So I hope y'all do it. You know what I'm saying? A friend that, if they called up, is no question asked, whatever they need, you're there for them, you have their back. You know what I'm saying? If they need you to go to war, you're going to go to war for them. You know what I'm saying? A true friend, and I know it's hard to find those kind of people these days, because people are not, nobody really have character. these days like they had back in the day. Nobody really are people of their word. There are a lot of two-faced people, especially with social media. People get on social media and they flip. So I know it's not a lot of people, saying that have those. There's not a lot of true friends out there. But, saying, I'm talking about those of you that's been blessed to actually have like that true friend that you do anything for. And I thank God that I can say that I actually am blessed enough to actually I have a few people like that in my and it's only don't feel like bad like God gave me favor just because I talk so much, y'all. I know so many people, so the odds are I'm gonna come across a couple of real ones. But man, because of my relationship, because of the way I am, the way I operate, I've come across some real people because I try to be real myself. So I've come across some real people, and I have those true friends in my life that, that I would die for, that I would go to war for. Those ones that I would do anything for. All they got to do is give me a call and ask, and it's no question asked. I got a friend of mine that I've literally known my entire life. Like we literally went to I'm pretty sure I've talked about him before on here, but we literally went to the same daycare, and he's actually like he's a distant cousin of mine, which I guess is why I'm so close, because my uncle had a baby with his aunt, and the families we stayed like 1 block from each other in North Memphis. So me and this dude, and then me and him end up, it was a one common daycare, big daycare in North Memphis called I think it was Wesley House. And we both went there, and since we kind of had that family connection, our families kind of put together because we all played with each other, stuff like that. So I literally been knowing this guy since like I was 1, like before I even really had memories that guy was there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, back in the day, I've known him my entire life, and back in the day, I would have done anything for him. You know what I'm saying? Anything for him. And I say back in the day because, of course, when we coming up, there's no question. Now I'm a family man, I'm a man of God. So, you know what I'm saying? We're going to have to come with some stuff. I ain't going to just drop everything to go to war for this guy. But I mean, if I knew, but I know him enough. And we still, not that we ain't as close as we used to be. We're adults now and growing apart. And the likelihood of us getting into a situation where we got to go to war for each other is a lot lower than back in the day when we was in North Memphis. But back in the day, though, oh man, I mean, it could have happened at any moment. And again, like if he needed me to be there for him, if he needed me to have his back, I had his back. You know what I'm saying? And I truly love this dude. You know what I'm saying? I love this dude. Still love him to this day. I keep saying like it's past tense, but I mean, I still love him to this day. And that's why I always say, when they bring up this is Pride Month and all that, and they bring up like, you should let people love who they want to love and that kind of thing. That's why I always say, that's a trick they use. That's the words they use so you can be empathetic with that movement of abomination. It has nothing to do with love. Because like I said, I love this dude. You know what I'm saying? I love this dude. And they use that, well, you should love. I love this dude, and I love this dude, like, with all my heart, but not on no gay stuff. Like, no gay stuff, man. I love this dude, man. We spent the night at each other's houses. We slept in the same bed. I mean, I was always together. We was literally like peas and carrots, as Forrest Gump would say. Love this dude. I spent a majority of my childhood, like if I wasn't at the house, you know what I'm saying, I was with this dude, love this dude, but I'm not on no gay stuff. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, we had so much love for each other, and we spent so much time with each other that, I actually found out a little later on down the road that people actually did think that I was gay. You know what I'm saying? Because he was the only person I hung out with. You know what I'm saying? And that was because he's my dude. Now, when I got older, you know what I'm saying, we end up, I think in 6th grade, at the end of elementary, we ended up going to 2 different junior high schools. So we kind of split, and I started hanging out with more girls or whatever. But then we ended up going to the same high school, so we were right back together. But I mean, like I said, we spent so much time, and we had such a bond. Cause he was just, like I said, just a true friend, you know what I'm saying? Always had my back, and we had such a bond that I found out later on that people in my family actually thought I was gay. Like when I got married and started having kids, they were like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? We thought you was gay. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you and Chad used to hang together like that and sleep in the same bed now, blah, blah, blah. And we all thought you were gay, but it wasn't nothing, no gay stuff. It's just like, I really had love for this dude, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, anything that he needed, I had his back. And you know what I'm saying? And it was like, we were so tight that if anybody mess with him, they mess with me, you know, and if anybody mess with me, they mess with him. This is kind of how I went, you know what I'm saying? Anybody mess with him, they mess with me. Anybody mess with me, they mess with him. And it was like that, you know, vice versa. And like I said, we had such a deep bond. I remember this one time, I don't know if y'all know like Greek tragedies or legends or whatever, but there was this Greek legend. It's called, it's a story of, I think it's Damien, and I'm going to say this name wrong because I'm not Greek, but it's Damien and Pythias. I believe that's how you pronounce that. You know what I'm saying? So in this story, what happens is, so you got this Pythias guy, and he was like a, you know what I'm saying, revolutionary. He's like a rebel. So he tried to basically start a revolution against this tyrant, and it was discovered that, you know what I'm saying, that he was doing so. So, you know, of course, the tyrant, they got him, they locked him up in jail or whatever, and they sentenced him to death. He was going to be executed. So I'm guessing, like, I don't know, it's been forever, so I kind of know the details of the story vaguely, but for whatever reason, he wasn't near his home. You know, he wasn't near home, so he was somewhere else when all this happened. So he wasn't near home, he wasn't near his family. So he begged the tyrant to have mercy on him, like, look, man, I know what I did is wrong. I know I deserve the death penalty. Tell you what, all I ask, if you give me an opportunity to go home and get my affairs in order. You know, say, go get my affairs in order, say goodbye to my kids, whatever. He said, just give me a little time to do that. And when I do that, I come back and I serve my sentence, you know, and you can execute me or whatever. So the tyrant was like, well, okay, I tell you what, I will let you do that, but only on one condition. If your friend Damien, I think it's like Damon, if your friend Damon would take your place in prison. So while you're gone, he's going to be in prison. And if you're not back at a certain time, but no, the execution date was set. So like, if you're not back by the time this execution date is, you know what I'm saying, comes up, then instead of executing you, we're going to execute your friend, you know? So they had such a bond that this Damon guy was willing to go and stand in his friend's place. He put his, because, you know, think about it, his friend just got out of jail free. So he just leave, like, all right, deuces, you know what I'm saying? That's on him kind of thing, you know. But if you know the story, like I said, I don't remember all the details of the story, but I do remember the guy, Pythias, he went home, and then, of course, he had some troubles. I think he got, like, robbed and kidnapped for a little while, like, and he ended up getting back. I think he ended up getting back the day of the execution. Like, I think they was on their way to execute Damon, and Pythias, you know, came back. You know, he made it back just in time because of everything that happened to him. And the story, it was so compelling. The bond that these guys had for each other was so compelling that the tyrant, you know what I'm saying, it touched the tyrant's heart, and he ended up releasing. I think the people started, you know what I'm saying, like cheering or whatever, or calling to let him go, and he ended up letting them both go. You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say this. My point is this. If somebody like me, so then like my point in that story was, so we was discussing that story in elementary school. And I'll never forget at the end of the story, you know what I'm saying, I remember my teacher like, man, that's amazing friendship. She said, I hope some of y'all, she kind of made the statement, like, I hope some of y'all, will, you know, as your life goes on and you come across people in life, that you will have a friend like that. She's like, do any of y'all have a friend like that? And I raised my hand. And you know what I'm saying? She's like, really? Yeah, you have somebody like that? Like, yeah. And before she even say, she said who it was, before I could even answer, the whole class like, Chad. You know what I'm saying? Because they already knew, you know, and like I said, because that's the kind of bond we had. That's how close we were, you know. And like I said, I say all that to say this. If me, a person like myself, a selfish, sinful man could do something like that, you know what I'm saying, to have that much of a dedication to a person, that much of a bond with a person, that I would literally put my life online, you know what I'm saying, at risk to help him go straight out his affairs or whatever. If a sinful person like that, like me, can do something like that, imagine what a perfect loving God would do for those that he loves. You see what I'm saying? A perfect loving God would do with those that he loved because of their obedience. And we saw that when Jesus came down and of course, he died for us. You know what I'm saying? So that was my whole point of the story, saying like, to show you the bond I have with this guy, you know what I'm saying, as a man, because he was my friend. Whereas God said, if you obey him, then you're his friend. So if I'm willing to do that as a man, imagine what God would be able to do, what God would do as the perfect loving God that he is. Because if you remember over in Genesis chapter 12, 13, when the Lord was talking to Abraham, what did he tell him? He said, you know what I'm saying, he called him his friend. because he was always obedient. You know what I'm saying? So Abraham, whenever God refers to Abraham, Abraham was a friend. You see, Abraham and God said in 8. Matter of fact, when God was on his way to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, they sat down and had lunch together before the Lord went down there to get ready to destroy it. They sat down and had lunch together. So, you know what I'm saying? So God was a friend of Abraham because Abraham was always obedient. And because of that obedience, because God was a friend, if you remember over in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, what did God tell Abraham? He said, I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. He said, I will bless those that bless you, and I will curse those that curse you. And Abraham was so obedient because he believed God's word. You know what I'm saying? He was so obedient because, as a matter of fact, it says over in Genesis 15, chapter 6, it said, Abraham believed the Lord, and he counted it to him as righteousness. And see, that's why Abraham was able to be obedient, because he actually believed God's word. He believed everything. If God told him something's going to happen, it's going to happen. When God told him that, hey, you're 100 years old, but you're going to have a kid, you know what I'm saying? He believed it. His wife then, she chuckled like, am I really going to have a kid? You know, and God heard her. But, you know what I'm saying? Abraham believed it. And because of that, it said it counted God accounted Abraham as righteous. And that's why Abraham was a friend, because he was very obedient. You know, he was obedient. So with Abraham being God's friend, God made him that promise. He said, I tell you what, man, you're my friend. I love you. So, you know what I'm saying? You're always obedient. I've tested your obedience. And of course, I'm not going to, this is not a sermon on Abraham, but, you know, his obedience got tested when he was told to sacrifice Isaac and all kind of things. So eventually, after his obedience got tested and the Lord saw that he truly was obedient and would therefore truly being his friend, the Lord told him, I'm going to bless those that bless you, and I'm going to curse those that curse you. So now fast forward, you got a situation hundreds of years later. Abraham is dead and gone, been dead and gone for at least 600 years at this point. But God's faithfulness to his people and God's love for his friend Abraham was so deep, and it was such a bond there because of Abraham's obedience, that now we see a situation where somebody came out and they messed with Abraham's children. You know what I'm saying? Abraham's descendant, and God took that anger out on him because of what his relationship he had with Abraham. So that's what I'm saying, that the obedience, that when you're obedient, you become God's friend. You know what I'm saying? And God, and he take that love and that faithfulness to you, not only for you while you're here on this earth and you had a relationship with him, even after you're dead and gone, he even take it down to the generation. That's why sometimes it says, it said the curse of the father will go down to the third and fourth generation, but the blessings will too. There's spots in the Bible where it talks about the blessings of the children are blessed because the father was blessed. And Abraham got to see this. So God made Abraham a promise that anybody that bless you, I will bless them. Anybody that curse you, I will curse them. And now we see him fulfilling this promise. Because when they came out of Egypt, this nation of Amalek tried to attack them. This nation of Amalek tried to come at them, and God didn't like that because they was messing with basically the descendants of his friend. You know what I'm saying? And you got to think about that. This is hundreds of years later. But that's what I'm saying. That's the blessings of obedience, that even hundreds of years later, God, Abraham's enemies still to that day was God's enemies. I think that was the point. I hope I said the point. But point number 5 was your enemies become God enemies. If I didn't say that, I think I got the rattling off and running my mouth. But point number 5 is your enemies become the enemies of God. Because none of that makes sense when I'm saying that if I didn't say it. But again, we see hundreds of years later, these Amalek came out and attacked Abraham's descendants. So now the Lord like, all right, it's time to be settled up the account. I want you to go in and destroy them. And you can see the hatred he had for them people, because he said, I want you to get the women, the children, the women, the children, the babies, the cattle, the sheep, the camels, and the donkeys. I want you to destroy all of it. Because that's how much of a dedication that God had to his friend Abraham, because Abraham had that much dedication to God. So see, that's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to when God become your friend, to where anybody try you, then God gonna try them. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't understand these protests they've been having for these pro-Palestinian protests, and these people, all these kids on these college campuses, they you know what I'm saying, they rallying and protesting for Palestine. Like, y'all gotta be ignorant. And you can tell they just haven't gotten the Bible. And that's one of the dangers, and that's why I'm always talking to y'all about getting your Bible. That's one of the dangers of not getting in your Bible, not knowing the Bible. If you know the Bible, you know the last thing you want to be doing is rallying and supporting somebody that's going against Israel, because we know that Israel is God's chosen people, and we see that the time don't matter, because this situation with the Amalekites, this happened hundreds of years after Abraham was gone, but yet God is still holding on to that promise. He's still keeping up that promise that he made to his friend Abraham. Anybody that bless you, I'm gonna bless them, and anybody that curse you, I'm gonna curse them. So when you got people out here protesting for people that's basically cursing the Israelites, it makes no sense to me. I'm like, these people can't have read their Bible before. If they read their Bible, they know that's the last thing they need to be doing. Support anybody that's going against Israel because it's not going to turn out good for them. And we see God displaying this kind of love and affection for his chosen people throughout the Bible. There's several stories where we saw where people was trying to oppose the people of God. See, 1 second. Where different people tried to oppose the people of God, and it didn't work out good for them. Say you go over a little bit and go over the Numbers chapter 22. I'm not going to go over there and read it all, but in Numbers chapter 22, there was a situation. Once again, it's kind of similar to this situation. So it was similar to what Amalek did to the Israelites. So this situation, it's a famous story. You might know it if you just kind of casually read your Bible. But there was a situation where this king Balak, Israel was getting ready to go through his land, and he wanted to attack. He didn't want them going through his land. He wanted to go attack them. So he called this guy named Balaam. And Balaam was some kind of diviner. It says he believed in God. I don't know. It's weird. I can't really figure out exactly what he did, because it seemed like he did divination, which, is against the word of God. But at the same time, he did get to talk to God. But either way it go, he sent for this guy to come in, and he wanted them to curse Israel. You know what I'm saying? That's what he wanted to do. He wanted them to curse the nation of Israel so he can attack them and get the victory over them. So, of course, when he went to get Balaam, if y'all know the story, he went to try to get Balaam to come and curse the people of Israel. And Balaam had a donkey that he was riding on to go do it. Now, initially, God told him, don't go. Like, those are my people, don't go. And then, but Balak kept on kind of sending his messages and pressing Balaam, and Balaam kept on asking God. So God finally said, all right, go ahead and go. That's what you want to do anyway, go ahead and go. But then when he was on the way, he was riding his donkey, and God sent the angel to kill Balaam. And the donkey saw, like I said, the first time the donkey saw the angel in the road, so he kind of veered off into a field to avoid the angel. So this is a little bit down the road. There's a path where the donkey couldn't get by the angel. It was like a smaller path, so he couldn't run off to a field, but there was a wall there. So in order to avoid the angel, the donkey just kind of ran the dude Balaam's leg against the wall, crushed his leg against the wall. And Balaam got upset and beat him over the head. He beat him over the head the first time, then he beat him over the head the second time. And then the third time, he said the angel went down a little farther where the donkey couldn't avoid him. So the donkey just stopped. He just wouldn't even go. And Balaam beat him over the head again. And then he said God gave that donkey the ability to talk. Like, hey, man, what you hitting me for? And he's like, well, these 3 times you made a fool out of me. He said, man, don't you ride me all the time? Like, I think it was a female. But like, don't you ride me all the time? Like, have I ever done anything like this? And he's like, no. And he's like, nigga, I'm trying to save your life. It's the angel right there waiting to kill you. And then he said, once that happened, Balaam's eyes opened up. He saw the angel standing there. So, of course, he was all sorry. Like, oh, I'm sorry. No, you don't want me to go. I'll go back home. But the angel told him, no, go ahead and go. But you can only say and do what I tell you to do. And long story short, Balaam ended up going to Balak, and Balak saw the whole nation of Israel. And he's like, oh, I want you to put a curse on them. So he went out there and set up an altar or whatever. He said, I'm going to see what God tell me to do. So he set up an altar. I don't want to get into the details of the story, but he set up the altar. You go read it yourself. Good story. One of those that I love reading. So he set up an altar, and God gives him the word to say. So the next day he goes out there, and instead of cursing the people of Israel, he blessed them. So Balak got upset, like, man, what are you doing? I told you to curse him. Don't give him a blessing. And he's like, well, man, I can only say what God want me to say. He said, well, maybe God won't let you curse all of them, so let's go to a smaller portion. So he took him to another spot where it was a smaller portion of the Israelites. He said, now see if God will let you curse them. So same thing, he set up an altar or whatever, went to God, but instead of blessing them, cursing them, he blessed them. So then Balak got upset, like, man, what are you doing? Like, if you're not going to curse them, don't bless them at least. And Balaam like, man, look, bro, I told you I can only do what God tell me to do. So he's like, all right, well, maybe, it's a small little portion on the outskirts of the camp. Just at least curse that many. Just those few. If you can curse them, we'll be good. So once again, same thing. But this time, Balaam didn't even go to God because he had figured out by this time that God had intended on blessing his people. He wasn't going to curse his people. So Balaam, once again, gave up a blessing. So Balak got upset, and and sent them away, long story short. So, and of course, the Israel ended up, going on, they was untouched. So the point is, and then they end up being, later on down the road, they end up getting taken out like God just did with these Amalekites because of what they try to do, they put the curses on the nation of Israel. So the curses that this King Balak wanted to put on the nation of Israel, it ended up falling on himself, because that was one of the points where Israel was actually being obedient. They was following the will of God. They was doing what God told them to do, so they had the protection of God on them. So even though this king tried to curse them, they couldn't be cursed. They was blessed. You know what I'm saying? But that king and his country ended up suffering those curses because of what they did to Israel. So you see, in that situation, the enemies to the nation of Israel, but the curses they try to put on Israel ended up backfiring on them. And that's what happened, because when you become an enemy of God's chosen people, then you become an enemy of God. We saw the same thing happen with David and Saul, this situation. And we're going to actually get into that here in a few weeks, because we're getting close to the whole saga between David and Saul. But, Saul, and we're going to see here, he's going to get into this disobedience. We're going to see why the Lord ended up leaving him. But the Lord going to end up leaving Saul, because Saul going to do some disobedient stuff. Matter of fact, the next lesson, we're going to see exactly what he did to start his disobedience to the Lord. And because of his disobedience, the Lord is going to end up leaving him. And then he eventually going to go out and anoint David to be king. Even though Saul was still alive, he's going to anoint David to be king. And when he anointed David, he said, David was a man after my own heart. In other words, David was somebody that was in constant obedience to the Lord. David always did what the Lord told him to do. This is a couple of chapters over. So he always had God on him. So if you look at the little saga between David and Saul, Saul was always trying to kill David. He was always, he tried to hit him with a spear or javelin a couple of times. And he was always doing underhand stuff. Even though David was faithful to him and never rose his hand against him, he was always trying to kill David. And every single time he ended up escaping. Well, every time Saul tried to kill David ended up escaping. You know what I'm saying? There was a couple of times where the Lord actually put Saul in David's hand, where David could have killed Saul. You know what I'm saying? Without even a problem, he could have killed Saul, but he didn't do it. He ended up not doing it, even though the Lord put him in his hand. And at the end of it, if you go through the whole saga, they went back and forth, but eventually Saul was the one that ended up dying. He ended up dying in the war because of his disobedience, and David ended up taking over. So once again, you see where the actions, the net that was set for David by Saul ended up falling into it himself, because David was one of God's chosen people. So when you one of God's chosen people, then your enemies become God's enemies. You know what I'm saying? Another one we saw, and we've discussed this one several times, especially since we've been talking about obedience, the story of Daniel. Y'all remember Daniel? And I don't have to go through it because I know I've talked about it. And the reason why I talk about it all the time is just one of my favorite stories. I really admire Daniel and his faithfulness and his obedience. But, you know what I'm saying? Of course, we know the story of Daniel when the guys tried to set him up. And Daniel, he prayed, I don't think it's said, but he prayed several times a day facing the east. And the guys tried to set him up, and because they didn't like the fact that he was a slave and he had this high position, and they was looking for him, but they couldn't find any faults with him. And they like, the only way we're going to find a fault with him is in his religion. So they went to the king and told the king to sign a decree saying that nobody can pray. And as they was praying to the king, and the king unknowingly signed it, now realized they were setting Daniel up. So, of course, so the king signed it. So Daniel had to be thrown in the lion's den because the king signed the decree or whatnot. And, of course, he got thrown in the lion's den. But because of his obedience, the Lord didn't allow those lions to touch him. So when they threw Daniel in, Daniel spent the whole night in the lion's den. And then the king, the king set up fasting all night because he knew what he had done. He knew he had got set up. The guy set Daniel up. He knew what he had done. He knew he had made an error. So he went all night. He didn't have his usual entertainment. He fasted, didn't have his usual food. And early the next morning, he ran out to pull Daniel out. And Lord behold, Daniel come out, not a scratch on him. So then what happened? So he said, take those men that brought up accusation against Daniel and their families and throw them in. So again, they tried to curse Daniel, and Daniel was one of God's chosen. So what ended up happening? The curses they tried to put on Daniel fell on them. So when they got thrown in the lion's den, them and their families, it says before their bodies even touched the ground, they was already ripped apart. Why? Because they came against one of God's chosen people. Daniel was one of God's faithful, obedient, chosen people. So when they came against Daniel, they was really fighting against God. And that's what happens, man, with obedience. You get God on your side to the point where you don't even have to deal with your enemies. God will deal with them. You know what I'm saying? One more that I love, and I know it's several other stories like that, but one more that I just love is the story of Mordecai and Haman. About the same period, a little bit after Daniel. You know what I'm saying? The situation where Mordecai, once again, he was a faithful servant of God. You know, and there was this guy named Haman. He was like the most second most powerful man in the land under the king. And everywhere he went, you know what I'm saying, everybody, because of his position, everybody bowed down to him. But Mordecai wouldn't do it because Mordecai knew that the only person you're supposed to bow down to is God. The only person you're supposed to worship is God. So he wouldn't do it. And that just bothered this Haman dude. And it's crazy. He was so petty because he had all this power. He had all this notoriety. He had all this money. He had all this. And Mordecai really had nothing but his faith. And this dude just couldn't stand it because he wouldn't bow down to him. So he went through, and I'm not going to go through the details of it, but he went through this big old elaborate plot to kill. No, he didn't want to just kill Mordecai. He wanted to kill all the Jews. That's how much he hated the Jews. That's how much of an enemy of the Jews he was. He wanted to kill all the Jews everywhere. He didn't want to just kill the Jew that he had a problem with. He wanted to kill all of them. You know, so of course, you know, he went to the king and got this, proclamation that he can kill all the Jews. The king didn't know it, so he just signed it, not realizing that the king's wife, which was Mordecai's niece, was actually a Jew. You know what I'm saying? So again, long story short, come to find out that the king's wife was a Jew. And you know what I'm saying? And she set him up cold because she told him to come to this banquet that she was going to have for just him and the king. So he was feeling himself, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't those feeling himself like, oh man, the queen invited me to a banquet and it's just me and the king going to be there. It's something special, you know what I'm saying? So he went to the banquet and they ate and drank, and she didn't really say what she wanted the first day. I guess she was just trying to get a feel of you know what I'm saying, the king, the mood he was in. So then she like, come back to, we're going to have another one tomorrow. I want both of y'all to come back. So the next day, matter of fact, when he left the first banquet, show you how petty he was. He left the first banquet on his way home and he sees Mordecai. So once again, Mordecai wouldn't bow to him. So it pissed him off. So he got home and he's bragging like, oh man, I was at a banquet and it was just me and the king. He said, but none of that means nothing because I still got to see Mordecai the Jew just standing there being disrespectful. So his friends came up with the idea like, well, won't you build like a gallows in your wall, and when you go to the banquet tomorrow, ask the king to hang Mordecai on it. You know what I'm saying? And there was a lot of other little stuff that happened in there too, but I'm not trying to belabor the story. Y'all go read it. That's another one of my favorite stories. So he like, oh, it's a good idea. So he built this like 75-foot gallows in his yard, and he was going to use it to hang Mordecai on when he went, asked the king to do it when he went to the banquet the next day. But long story short, goes to the banquet. Turns out the queen says, tells the king, man, we got an enemy and he's trying to destroy us. And the king got upset, like, who the hell would do that? He's like, this man Mordecai. You know what I'm saying? If you read the story, it said when she said that, his face just turned white. You know what I'm saying? And of course, the king got up and stormed on, and he went over there to try to plead to the queen, like he just kind of fell at her feet and was like grabbing on her dress. And the king came back like, oh, you gonna just take her right here in front of me? So when he said that, he said they put a bag over his head and took him out. You know what I'm saying? And one of the people, and to show you how you know what I'm saying, how God has your back. So one of the people, as they was taking him out, they're like, man, he just built gallows in his yard to hang Mordecai on. And the king said, hang him on it. So the trap that once again, you see the trap that he tried to set for Mordecai, the curse he tried to set for Mordecai backfired on him. So he ended up being hung on the gallows that he made to hurt one of God's people. And not only did he get hung on there, all his kids got hung on there, and all his friends as well, because they ended up destroying him and his whole family and all his friends and everybody he knew. Why? Because he became an enemy of God when he became an enemy of Mordecai. So you got to understand that that's one of the blessings that come with being obedient. You get that level of protection. You know what I'm saying? Each one of these situations, these people, they rose their hand against faithful, obedient servants of God. And they paid the price for it because they rose their hand against faithful, obedient servants of God. And that's what's going to happen. So when you're being obedient to the word and you're doing what the word is saying, then, you know what I'm saying? Like, because of the word, and the word tell you do some hard stuff. Like, there's a situation where it says, I think it's in Proverbs, it's mentioned, I think in Proverbs 3:25, and I think it's in Romans chapter 20 as well. But it's a statement that says, you know, if you see your enemy and he's hungry, give him some food. You know, if you see him and he's thirsty, give him some water. You know what I'm saying? You know, give him something to drink. He said, in doing this, you will be heaping coals on his head. So when you being obedient to that, you know what I'm saying, being obedient to that, the reason why you were heaping coals on his head by being obedient to that is because now you're making him, he's your enemy, but now you're making him an enemy of God. You know what I'm saying? And God has a way of dealing with that person that's going to be way better, way more profound than anything that you can think of. And see, a lot of times we want to get our own revenge, and that's what we mess up. Just give to God. You see your enemy, give him some water to drink. You know what I'm saying? Give him some food to eat. And it said, in doing so, you're heaping coals on his head. You know what I'm saying? And I said, again, those burning coals are being heaped on his head because by being obedient and doing this action, you are making your enemy God's enemy. You know what I'm saying? And when you make your enemy God's enemy, that's one of the blessings that come from the beating. So, you see what I'm saying? So you won't even have to deal with it no more. That's why when I got fired, y'all know I got fired a little, well, it's been 3 months now. Coming up the Wednesday will be 3 months ago that I lost my job. Been there 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew me and the guy was beefing. I never expected to get fired. I you know what I'm saying, could have got demoted or ridden up or something. Just, you know what I'm saying, man, you know what I'm saying, we done or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because we just wasn't seeing eye to eye. You know, so, and the thing that he said he fired me for was a lie. Because I got evidence to show that, you know, what he put in the little report or whatever was a lie. You know what I'm saying? So people are like, man, are you going to sue? Are you going to try to fight back? Or are you going to try to do this and do this? And I said, no, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going to do a darn thing. I just left it alone. And you know what I'm saying? Put it in God's hand. Because guess what I'm doing? I'm heaping coals on his head. You know, and if he did me wrong because of whatever reason, I'm not saying he hated me, because I know we did have some, you know, he told me to stop preaching all the time, talking to everybody about God when they come in, which I never did stop doing. So I don't know if that was it. I don't know what his motivation was. It could be that he just felt like I was a horrible employee. It could be that simple. But either way it go, I didn't put any more, you know what I'm saying? I didn't put any more effort into doing anything once I got fired. All my efforts were put into finding me a new job. You know what I'm saying? Because why? I wanted to heap coals upon this. I want to let God deal with it. You know what I'm saying? That dude definitely, as far as I'm concerned, he tried to destroy my family because he knew my wife had health issues. He knew I had 7 kids that I was trying to take care of. And yet he does something like that. So, I mean, that's dirty. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm not wish no ill will on him. Hopefully everything will work out with him. No, none of them gone or whatever. I hope that everything will still work out with him. But I put it in God's hand. When people are trying to encourage me to go do this, go this, I said, no, I just put it in God's hand. Because again, that's heaping up coals on his head. And because I like to think I'm a faithful servant of the Lord. The Lord might not think so, but I like to think I am. And if he's done a faithful servant of the Lord that wrong and he's become my enemy for whatever reason, then now he's the enemy of God. And that's one of the blessings that comes from obedience. So blessing, point number 5, another blessing of obedience is your enemies become God's enemies. You know what I'm saying? Your enemies become God's enemies. So therefore, you get in a situation you don't even have to worry from. Let them do what they do. Let them say what they say. Let them look the way they want to look, and just let God deal with it. And that's the blessing. That's one of the blessings you get from not having to worry about your enemies. That's one of the blessings you get from being obedient. So again, number 5, another blessing of obedience is your enemies become God's enemies. And we can see some examples I gave you. God got a way of handling them that's way better, way more efficient than what we can do. You know what I'm saying? Our little human mind. So that's what you do, man. Just let God handle it. And just know that your enemies will be taken care of. You don't have to worry about them. You just keep focused on doing God's word. You keep on focused on being obedient and let God handle that. Because when you do that, you heap them coals on their heads and they become God's enemy. So again, number 5, blessing of obedience. One of the blessings of obedience is your enemies will become God's enemies. So then let's read the next couple of verses. And I'm going to go through point number 6. So the Lord tells Saul, all right, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to pay them back. The Amalekites are the Amalekite nation. I'm going to pay them back for what they did to y'all. They became my enemy the day they attacked y'all. So I want you to go and destroy everybody. So down in verse 4, it says, so verses 4 through 6 is where our next point is going to be. It says, so Saul mobilized his army at Telium, and there were 200,000 troops in addition to 100,000 men from Judah. Then Saul went to the city of Amalek and lay in wait in the valley. Now Saul sent this message to the Kenites. Move away from where the Amalekites live, or else you would die with them. For you were kind to the people of Israel when they came up from Egypt. So the Kenites packed up and they left. They dipped. You know what I'm saying? If Saul said, hey, man, they finna die. You better move away or you're going to die with them. And they dipped. But why did he give them that warning? Because, again, go back to the promise. He said, I'm going to bless those that bless you. I'm going to curse those that curse you. So apparently when the Israelites came out of Egypt, the Kenites was one of the ones that blessed them. So God blessed the Kenites and gave them opportunity to escape this oncoming disaster. And they listened. They was wise enough to listen, and they obeyed, and they escaped the disaster. So that's going to bring us to point number 6 tonight. Another blessing, another blessing of being obedient is you will be spared in times of trouble. I'm saying you will be spared in times of trouble. That's another blessing of obedience. If you go over to Proverbs 3, and that's where Proverbs, I don't know where that other one came from, but it's in the Bible. You look it up. Proverbs, this is what I knew it was. I was getting something from Proverbs 3, but it's this one. But in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 21 through 26, it says this. He says, my child, don't lose sight of good planning and insight. Hang on to them, for they fill you with life and bring you honor and respect. They keep you safe on your way and keep your feet from stumbling. You can lie down without fear and enjoy pleasant dreams. You need not be afraid of disasters or the destruction that comes upon the wicked. For the Lord is your security, and he will keep your foot from being caught in a trap. See, in other words, when you're obedient, you don't have to worry about the disasters in this world. You don't have to worry about all this stuff that's going on around us. We don't have to worry about the fact that it looks like our world is crumbling down around us. Just stay focused on God. Just stay focused on God. Stay focused on doing that work that the Lord has for you to do. And you won't have to worry about that stuff. And that's why I say, number 6, you will be spared in times of trouble. It's not that troubles ain't going to come because you're an obedient servant of God. But when these troubles do come, you're going to be spared. Somebody that can attest to that, like wholeheartedly, is Paul, one of my favorite guys of the Bible. And he kind of talks about this a little bit, not as much as about obedience, but we know he was a faithful, obedient servant of God. And because of that, he went through a lot, but yet he remained obedient. So if you go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 7 through 18, I'm going to read this little statement he made. He says, but this precious treasure, this light and power that now shines within us is held in perishable containers, that is, in our weak bodies. So everyone can see that our glorious power is from God and is not of our own. In other words, we were able to do these things that we're doing because we're obedient to God. So then he makes this statement. He said, we are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed and broken. We are perplexed, but we don't give up and quit. We are hunted down, but God never abandons us. We get knocked down, but we get up again and keep on going. Through suffering, these bodies of ours constantly share in the death of Jesus so that the life of Jesus may also be seen in our bodies. Yes, we live under constant danger of death because we serve Jesus, so that the life of Jesus would be obvious in our dying bodies. So we live in the face of death, but it has resulted in eternal life for you. But we continue to preach because we have the same kind of faith the psalmist had when he said, I believed in God, and so I spake. In other words, they were being obedient. And he said, see what I'm saying? So they going through stuff because they being obedient. Then he finished by saying this. He said, now we know that the same God who raised our Lord Jesus will also raise us with Jesus and present us to himself along with you. All of these things are for your benefit. And as God's grace brings more and more people to Christ, there will be great thanksgiving and God will receive more and more glory. That is why we never give up. In other words, we stay going out and preaching even though it seems like the word don't want us to. That's why we never get up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day. For our present troubles are quite small and won't last very long. Yet they produce for us an immeasurably great glory that will last forever. So we don't look at the troubles we can see right now. Rather, we look forward to what we have not yet seen. For the troubles we see will soon be over, but the joys to come will last forever. So in other words, what he's saying, we're not worried about all this stuff. We're not worried about the world going crazy right now. We're not worried about the insane amount of sin that we see every time we turn on the TV, every time we get on social media, every time we get on our phone. We're not worried about that. because we know as long as we stay obedient, God is going to take care of that stuff. He's going to take us out of that. See, Paul knew, like I said, Paul knew that better than anyone because he was very obedient. That's why I said, even though we're going through our troubles, even though we were oppressed on every side, we're facing death every day, I'm still going to preach the word because God gave him a mission. Y'all remember when the Lord appeared to him on the road to Damascus, what he said? You got to go out to the world, preach my word. You know what I'm saying? And he even told him, said, in suffering, you're going to go out and you're going to preach my word. And I don't know if it's because of what he was doing to Christians when the Lord came to him, why he had to suffer so much. But Paul did some suffering, you know what I'm saying? Because he suffered because of his obedience. And when he suffered he suffered severely because of his obedience. You know what I'm saying? But he always knew no matter what he was suffering, what he was going through, he was going to make it through. That's why y'all know the famous shipwreck when the ship wrecked and they came into this storm called Rockladon, and the ship was getting ready to go down because the wave was beating against the ship. Everybody else, they was freaking out. The guy they wasn't eating, they was throwing everything overboard trying to save the ship, and Paul was chilling. You know what I'm saying? And he watched it for a few days, and he was chilling. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else was freaking out, but he wasn't. And then after a few days, like, man, look, y'all sit down and get something to eat. Y'all ain't eating like 3-4 days. Don't even worry about it. They're like, man, what you talking about, man? The ship going down, blah, blah. Man, don't even worry about it. We're going to be straight. We're going to be straight. Why? Because he knew he's been obedient. Him being on that ship was being obedient because the Lord told him that he had to go to Rome. And he knew death was waiting for him in Rome, but yet he still got on the ship to go to Rome. So he knew, he's like, well, God told me to go to Rome. This ain't Rome. Obviously, I'm not going to die. Y'all need to chill out. Because he knew the Lord was going to spare them from that disaster. Now, the ship did go down. It did eventually go down. The storm ended up turning apart. It did go down, but he wasn't worried about it. What's going on, Brother Jimmy? Appreciate you being here, man. Hope everything going good with you down there in Orlando. Appreciate you being here. But again, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't freaking out because he knew, yes, it was a disaster on the horizon. He knew it was looking bad, but he also knew the Lord was going to bring him through because he was obedient. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, the ship got destroyed. They got thrown in the water. And then to top that, they get thrown in the water, make it to this beach, start building a fire because, probably it was around wintertime. So it was probably a little cold. You know what I'm saying? They soaking wet. They start building a fire. He get ready to throw some wood in the fire, and a darn snake come out and bite him. A venomous snake. But did he freak out? Did he like, oh my goodness, good God? No, he just shook it off. Shook it off in the fire. You know what I'm saying? Went on about his business. And all the people, the people, them judgmental Christians, yeah, he must have did something bad. Because even though he escaped the sea, even though he escaped the sea, he couldn't escape God. The God still sent this poisonous snake. But then when they was looking and saw nothing happen to him, then they started like, well, he might be God. You know what I'm saying? Why did he not freak out? Because once again, go back to my point, he knew the Lord was going to get him through that situation. And that's what you got to understand. When you're obedient, you don't have to freak out. You know what I'm saying? He made it to the shore from the wreck. He didn't freak it out. You know what I'm saying? And that was one time, there was another situation where he was actually out preaching. He was preaching and he got stoned to death. You know what I'm saying? They didn't like what he was saying. He was out there telling the truth. He got stoned to death. And he got stoned to death. They put him outside of the city, stoned to death. He died and came back and went back in the city and started preaching again. See, he was able to do those things because he was being obedient. You see, he was being obedient. That's why he wasn't worried about it. That's why he was able to sleep. That's why what I just read you in Proverbs. It says you won't have to worry about stuff like that. You won't have to worry about the coming disasters. A righteous man, obedient, a person that's been obedient, you don't have to worry about those disasters. I'm not saying those disasters won't affect you. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying, you ain't going to have to go through some stuff because we saw Paul went through some stuff. But I'm saying you won't have to worry about those things because, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how bad it gets, God is with you and he's going to bring you through those things. It's the same with another story of talking about ships, Jonah. Same thing happened with Jonah. Y'all remember, Jonah was, running away from God. God told him to go to Nineveh. He decided he wanted to go opposite of Nineveh. So the Lord sent a storm and basically the same situation Paul was in because Jonah was before Paul. But, all the guys, all the other salesmen shipmen, whatever they call, the pirates, I don't know what they call, but all the other workers on the ship, they freaked out. Sorry, y'all, give me 1 second. I cannot get over this little whatever it is. But anyway, so they was all freaking out. They throwing stuff over, the board, trying to save the ship. And what was Jonah at? Jonah was down there sleeping. Joe down there sleeping. You know what I'm saying? The captain came like, man, sleeper. No, sleeper, how you sleeping at a time like this? How you down here man, don't you not know what's going on outside? But it's not that he didn't know what was going on outside. He already knew who was in control of what was going on outside. So it was no point of guess. It looked like there was a disaster on the horizon, but he already knew who was in control of the disaster. Matter of fact, he told me, don't even worry about it. He said, no, that's my God acting up. You know what I'm saying? That's my God flexing muscle. You know what I'm saying? I was supposed to go somewhere and I didn't go, and that's why God doing all this. As a matter of fact, just go and throw me overboard and, you know what I'm saying, to take care of it. You know what I'm saying? The storm will go away. And so, and again, they didn't want to do it because they like, well, he working with God. I ain't finna throw God's servant in the sea. So they didn't want to do it. He like, man, look, just go and throw me over. I'm going to be fine. Why? Because he knew even if he did get thrown in the sea, God was going to take him out of this situation. And I mean, now I don't know if he knew that God won't send a fish to swallow him up, but he just knew he had the faith because he knew he was, once he stopped being obedient, that God would protect him. And up until that point, he had been obedient, and God showed him what happened when he get to being disobedient, and he sent the storm. So they threw him over, and of course, as soon as he hit the water, the storm went away. You know, so he was able to save the lives of the guys on the boat, and then of course the fish came and swallowed him up, and he was stuck in the belly of the whale for 3 days. And then finally, after 3 days, the fish spit him up, and it said he had like a 3-day journey, and it took him 1 day to get there or something like that. Like, I mean, he got on this stuff because he saw how important it was to be obedient, and he saw what happened when he was being disobedient. So again, he was in a terrible situation. He was in a situation that looked disastrous, but he didn't freak out. He didn't freak out because he knew, yes, there was a disaster on the horizon. Yes, he knew it can be bad, but yes, he knew God was in control. Because as long as he had to be obedient, he had to worry about it. Another one, again, I don't know what's up with these guys in these boats, but another famous story, and I say this from last, Jesus. Y'all remember when the guys, I can't remember where they was going to or where they was coming from, but they was in the middle of the sea and a storm came. And you know what I'm saying? They started taking on water. And they sitting there, once again, freaking out, trying to, bail water out the boat. And it said Jesus was just laying up there asleep. And when they went over there, Lord, do you not care that we perish? Like, what's going on? Like, man, did you not see what's going on around us? Do you not care that we perish? And what did Jesus say? Oh, ye of little faith. Oh, ye of little faith. You know what I'm saying? How can you be worried about the storm when you said that you believe that I'm the son of Christ, I'm the son of God, and I'm in the boat with you? Why are you worried about the storm? And then we told the storm, I can't remember the exact words, told the storm to be quiet or whatever, cease and be still or whatever. And just like that, the storm was gone. See, Jesus was able to sleep because he wasn't worried about this storm because he knew. You see what I'm saying? He was being obedient. He knew him come down to earth. He was being obedient to the will of his Father. So he knew that even though, yes, there was a bad situation, the Lord was going to spare him from that situation because he was being obedient. And that's what you got to understand. Jesus wasn't freaking out like everybody else because he knew, yes, this is a disastrous situation. Looks bad, might be bad, but either way it go, God's going to bring me out of it. God is going to spare me from this disaster. And that's what he did here with these Kenites. You know what I'm saying? Because they was obedient. They was faithful. They was nice to the Israelites. So the Lord gave them this opportunity to escape this disaster. And that's what happened. He'll give you, whether it's somebody giving you a word of warning like Saul did, or whether him just giving you a bright idea like, you know what, I'm not going to go there this day, or I'm not going to do this day. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard when people like, well, I was getting ready to go somewhere and I just got the feeling I didn't need to go, and then something bad happened at that situation. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that happens all the time. You know what I'm saying? God give you that warning. He'll take you out of that disastrous situation if you stay obedient. That's one of the blessings that come from obedience. You see what I'm saying? So again, sorry, man, this stuff is getting me. Man. So again, you see, when you had that close walk with God, you know what I'm saying? Because you're being obedient, everybody can be losing their mind around you. The walk again, the walk and look, the world look like it's burning around you. But you're going to be straight. You're not going to freak out. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to lose any sleep over the situation because you know you've been obedient, and whatever situation you're in, God put you in. And just like he put you in that situation, he can take you out of that situation. I remember my preacher, he tells me from time to time a story. At one time, there was like a tornado warning going on. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And somebody, and there was a tornado coming toward the area that we live in. And a guy called him and like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, was like, hey, pastor, it's a tornado warning. You know what I'm saying? Get up, see if you can go get somewhere safe, blah, blah, blah. And the pastor, he said, you answer the phone, like, first of all, who just calling me 1 o'clock in the morning? Got on the phone, guy was, frantic, like, oh, Lord, I mean, this stuff is coming, you need to, he said, all right, man, all right, and the guy warned me, oh, okay, he said, all right, I appreciate the call. And he said all he did, he hung up and he rolled back over and went right back to sleep. He wasn't worried. He wasn't freaking out at all. Because again, he knew the Lord was in control. He was one of God's servants because he'd been obedient as one of God's servants. So he knew, again, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, when everybody else freaking out, you can keep your cool, like when COVID hit. Y'all know, y'all might be some of those that did it. I don't know. But, man, people lost their freaking minds during COVID. We lost our minds, and it really showed you, to me, how far away from God, because we were willing to believe anything and willing to do anything that they said because people were so afraid. They was so afraid of this disaster. But me and my family, man, we didn't. We kept on operating the same way we normally did. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go get that vaccine that they made up within a year. I didn't get the jab. So if y'all want to judge me, then judge me. You don't want to be around me, you got to be around me. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't get the jab. I didn't go get the shot, that vaccine. I wasn't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? I told Pastor, man, if I made it through North Memphis and the darn cold take me out, then I just got to go. That's just how the way God had for me to go. But I wasn't worried. I wasn't freaking out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go run to the store and get the vaccines as soon as they came out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't wear no mask. Now there was a couple of times where they just wouldn't let you in places without it. Like, for doctor's appointments and certain stores, when they started opening back up, they wouldn't let you in. So if it was like an absolute, like, you couldn't get in here without the mask and I need to get in there, I would put the mask on. But other than that, other than being forced to do it, I didn't do it. I wasn't freaking out and I wasn't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't stop going to church. I didn't miss one church service when COVID hit. Because, that was for, people got to stop gathering together. I didn't miss one church service. And matter of fact, my church, it didn't close down either. Everybody just kept going to church. And it was a church, my church is a church full of, like, older people. So it's, people that was more susceptible to the disease. But, man, we wasn't worrying about that. Everybody else was losing their mind. We weren't worrying about that. We was exactly where we need to be at church worshiping God. You know what I'm saying? Even with my soul winning. Now, I did put it on pause just for a little bit, but it was only when it first came out. And it wasn't because I was afraid to go out and knock on doors and talk to people. It was because people were so afraid to have people come to their house. So it wasn't even that I didn't want to go out because I wanted to go out from the get-go. But we kind of know what I'm saying. It was something new. They had everybody scared. Everybody was freaking out. So we had to see how it played out. You know what I'm saying? So I missed like a few weeks or so. When, as a matter of fact, one of the blessings that came from that's when I started doing these lives. I couldn't go out soul winning no more. I could no longer go into the jails and preach because of COVID. So that's what made me start doing these lives. A little over that was 2020. So a little over 4 years ago, I started doing these live videos. So that's why I'm here talking to y'all tonight, because of COVID. But you know what I'm saying? But again, I didn't stop going soul winning because I was afraid, because I was worried about, I'm going to get home and die. No, it's just because everybody else was freaking out. And after a couple of weeks, when people, got their nerve, a few weeks, and people got their nerve back to them, I started back. Matter of fact, I stopped. I didn't go the whole summer, which bummed me out. And what I did was, okay, when school started back up, if they start back going to school, if they allow kids to go to school, then I'm going to go out soul winning. Because it ain't nothing to spread more germs than school. So when his kids started, that's what happened. And when the kids started going back to school, that's when I started going back to soul winning. So it was like 3-4 months that I didn't go soul winning. But again, it's because everybody else was freaking out. You know what I'm saying? So again, I never stopped going to church, never stopped going soul winning. I bought the same amount of tissue that I always bought. I didn't go out and rush and try to buy up all of the tissue paper, thinking that it was going, I did not look, because I wasn't worried about it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't worried about it. I was not worried about that because, again, and it is not that there wasn't a disaster, and not that it couldn't have been disastrous. It was because I had the faith that God would get me through the disaster, because I've always worked on trying to be obedient to Him. That's why with this election going on, everybody freaking out and they don't want Trump in there, but they don't want Biden in there. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about who wins this presidential election. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about the oncoming race war they keep on saying is going to happen. This civil war between black and white people that they trying to push down our throats is going to happen. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about going and buying up firearms because there ain't going to be none when the war comes. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about building no bunkers. I'm not worried about no food shortages. I'm not worried about no global warming. None of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not worried about those things because, again, I'm not freaking out over this stuff because it's not because, again, it's not that it can't be disaster. It's not that it's not a possible looming disaster. It's just that whatever happens, God is going to bring me. I have that faith that God is going to bring me through it. If I need some food, if I need to build a bunker, I need, God is going to make a way. He's going to provide it for me because he always have. He's always have. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm not freaking out. I'm not freaking out over this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not freaking out over any of this stuff because they want us to freak out over this stuff because they want to see where your faith is at. They want to see, you know what I'm saying, are you going to get upset and start trusting in more in them than the word of God? I trust in the word of God, and God says that if you obey him, you are his friend, and he take care, like I told you in the first example, God take care of his friend. If I take care of my friend the way I did, I know God going to take care of me as his friend, so I'm not worried about that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm not saying that none of this stuff can't happen. I'm not saying that it can't be devastating. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is I know with my walk with God, I know he sees my heart. I know he sees my effort to be obedient. And I know that whatever disaster that comes, we're going to make it through it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make it through it. And I remember when I first lost my job, and I brought this up again, when I first lost my job, the guy that I count the money with, we was talking. And he's an older guy. I love him to death. His brother Larry. And we talking. He's like, man, how are you not freaking out right now? He's like, you just lost a six-figure job and that you've been there for 10 years and it ain't no telling how long it'll take you to find another one, especially making that money if you will even be able to find another one. Like, why are you not freaking out? And I wasn't. And I said, man, I've been in way worse situations with way less money. I said, and every single time that I've gotten in some bad situation that's way worse than this, God has always brought me through. No matter what disasters, you know what I'm saying, that he's brought in my life, no matter what has happened, God has always got me through. There's no point of freaking out. As long as I stay doing the work that he has me to do, as long as I stay running my mouth on Monday nights on Facebook and going knocking on doors on Saturdays and read my Bible every day and praying every day, as long as I keep doing those things, it's going to work out. Whatever, you know what I'm saying, because that's one of the blessings of obedience. You know what I'm saying? Earlier today, I said I was going to bring it up. Earlier today, I was on my way to work this morning, and I saw a guy walking down the highway, and I stopped and picked him up, a hitchhiker. And he wasn't necessarily a hitchhiker, but I can tell, because like in this area, if you're in a big city, you see somebody walking down the highway somewhere, they might just be trying to get somewhere. But if you in this area walking down the highway, then you doing some walking, because there's not no public transportation, and there's not a lot of stuff close. And I picked the guy up, and I got to talk to him, and he was heading toward Memphis. And I'm like, man, I'm on my way to work. I can't take you too far. I said, but I can take you at least to the next town over, because he was down in Waverly, like right before the high school. And I ended up taking him all the way down to Brewston, which is a little farther than I expected to take him. But it's only because we got into a good conversation. And it turns out he was really struggling with his faith in God right now and trying to understand why he was suffering, because he was homeless and some bad, he's had a series of unfortunate events kind of thing. And he was really just, suffering, and he was just didn't understand. So we ended up having a really good talk with him, sharing my testimony. Good thing is he is saved. He just was trying to understand like why God was doing what he was doing to him, kind of thing. I got to talk to the guy, and he was just like, he wasn't afraid. I'm like, man, I'm not afraid. I was like, yes, picking you up could have been disastrous. Yes, I said, you could be a serial killer or whatnot. I said, but no matter what disaster I am, I was doing what God told me to do. God said, if you see a brother in need, you help that brother out. I said, I can tell from where you was at, man, the way you was walking, that you needed, even if just this little 10, 15-minute ride gave you a little bit of rest for a few minutes. Like I said, it ended up being like a 30-minute ride, because I took him, got him something to eat, and gave him a couple of dollars as well. I was like, but even if just me doing this little bit, I said, I hope it encouraged you. I said, but more important than that, I hope this conversation we had helps you even more. You know what I'm saying? The couple of dollars I gave you in the food, that's not a big deal to ride. I said, I hope to help. What the more important thing that came out of this situation was that you got to restore your faith in God. And he told me, he said, man, I thank you so much. He said, I really did. He said, a lot of the stuff that I've been wrestling with, that I've been struggling with, you know what I'm saying, you brought it up, or you taught me, or you confirmed what I already knew. He said, I really do appreciate you giving me the ride. He said, but more importantly, I appreciate that talk. You know what I'm saying? So yes, again, that could have been disastrous. That dude could have been mentally ill. He could have stabbed me in my neck as soon as I put on. Anything could have happened. But I'm so firm in my conviction about my relationship with the Lord. I'm so firm in my belief that if you're obedient, like he said, if you're obedient to his word and you'll have that wall of protection. I believe that so wholeheartedly that I'm not worried about it. Yes, that can be disastrous, but even if it was disastrous, I have enough faith to believe that I'm going to make it through it. No matter what's going on, I'm going to make it through. And again, I'm not stupid or just completely oblivious to the dangers that lurk in this world, to the potential that we face each and every day. But again, what I'm saying is I don't have to. I have the faith to believe that no matter what comes, no matter how disastrous it is, no matter what we go through, God, as long as I stay faithful, as long as I stay obedient, God will bring me through. Because again, blessing, you will be spared in times of trouble when you're obedient. That's another blessing of obedience is being spared in times of trouble. So again, yes, these troubles gonna come. I didn't say that I'm not gonna be in no trouble. The trouble's gonna come, the disaster's gonna come, but I really fully believe as long as we stay obedient to God's word and stay obedient to the work he had for us to do, then we will be spared in those times of trouble. So number 6 is blessings. Another blessing of being obedient is you will be spared in times of trouble. And again, we see that with the Kenites. They was getting ready. Amalekites about to get taken out. You know what I'm saying? But the Saul went and he warned like, hey man, these Amalekites they became the enemies of God because they attacked God's people. God has tasked me with destroying everything in the area. You might want to get away. You know what I'm saying? The Lord spared them because they was obedient, because they blessed Israel. So since they blessed Israel, the Lord blessed them. And the Amalekites cursed Israel, so the Lord going to curse them. And he's going to end up cursing Saul because Saul ain't going to do some stuff that he's supposed to do, but that's going to be the next lesson. So we're going to stop right there today, y'all. I said, like I said, I felt like I had a little bit more energy, but you can tell I'm still kind of congested up a little bit, and this stuff really, like I said, it's weird because it's not major. I'm not sick. It's just this mild discomfort, and I don't know what it is. But hopefully I can get rid of it here, sometime soon. Usually I'll be over some stuff quickly, but it's just kind of lingering around in the background kind of thing. But either way it go, as long as the Lord give me the strength to be here and the mind to try to bring some of this knowledge out and the voice to talk, then I will be here as long as y'all are here. So I appreciate y'all for being here tonight. And of course, I'm just jumping into my ending announcements. If there's anything in particular, Lord willing, next Monday, 7 o'clock, be back again. And now I know so far we've only been talking about blessings, but now next week we're going to start talking about the disobedience and the curses that come from that disobedience. So be back next week and we'll start making this comparison, how the lesson go, the lesson being, because we've been talking about the blessings that come from obedience and how the lesson's going to be, because now we're going to start talking about the curses of disobedience. So Lord willing, next Monday be back and we can go over that. But if there's anything I haven't already covered yet that you want me to, any stories or anything you want me to cover, please reach out to me and let me know. I will try to work that into the lesson plan as well. Keep sharing the videos, telling people about the videos, tagging people in the videos. I appreciate y'all doing that. It really helps the ministry out, but more importantly, it helps get this word out, and hopefully help get it into the hearts of people so they can use this wisdom to build a relationship with the Lord. And of course, if you're not 100% sure about your salvation, if you don't know for sure that when you go through that door called death, you're going to see the Lord on the other side, please reach out to me and let me know, and I will work some time in my schedule to try to go over the gospel with you and show you exactly what you need to know, so you can see the Lord when you go through that door called death. And as always, you need any kind of spiritual counseling, got any biblical questions, or just want to talk about, rant or rave about what God's doing in your life, reach out to me and let me know. Again, inbox me or message me or make a comment on Facebook or something. Let me know, and I will work some time in my schedule to sit down and talk with you and see if I can just use some of the wisdom the Lord has blessed me with, bless you with it, to help you continue to get to where you need to be. And it's always, all my stuff, a series, because I talk so much. So if you want to go back and watch one and you're like, man, I would like to know what else he talked about in this whole series. The best place to go is my YouTube, the easiest place. You can go on my Facebook, because I never delete my Facebooks. But the easiest place to go, especially if you're trying to look up a particular series, is go to my YouTube page, youtube.com, put in God's Service / Lost Sheep Ministries, type it in just like that, with a space between each one, and take you to my channel. And it's just much easier because I put everything in basically in line by the dates that were done, and I put them all together. So it's just a lot easier to find than trying to scroll through all these memes and catch me on Facebook. So again, with that being said, y'all, my throat starting to hurt on me a little bit. But I hope this is help you once again, help you. I wanted to be here for you guys. You know, I could easily made an excuse like, you know what, maybe next week let me get some rest, but I want to be here for y'all because I know how important it is to get that word. And I pray this word is helping y'all. And I pray that as we're going through so far, we've seen the blessings, and I hope I wanted to do the blessing. I want you to understand the kind of things that you're missing out on when you're not being obedient. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to see that. I'm glad we've got to see that. So now we're going to start seeing not only what when you're disobedient, not only the things you're missing out on, but the things that you're going to actually bring into your life that you want to miss out on. You want to miss out on some of the tragedies and the things that come into your life, but you got to be obedient to be able to do those things. So Lord willing, be back next Monday, 7 o'clock, and we're going to continue this series, and hopefully I can help you, encourage you to walk that path to where you'll be obedient and doing the things the Lord will have you to do. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pray and get out of here for the night. Dear Lord and Heavenly Father, thank you so much for watching over us. Thank you for letting me make it through, Lord. I pray I was able to do this word some justice again tonight. It's just been a little bit difficult. I don't know what's going on. And I just pray you keep your healing hands upon me so I'll be able to get over this, whatever it is, the little funk it is. But I just pray that you don't let it stop the work. And that's more important to me than anything. You know, I can be uncomfortable as long as the work don't stop. And I pray that you continue to help me continue to go forward so I can bring this wisdom out to help your people build a relationship with you. I pray you just continue to be with this ministry, Lord. Continue to help it grow, prosper, reach out to the community, change the lives of others, and capture lost souls of men. And I pray you continue to use me, my family, and my ministry members in this ministry as a whole in a mighty way to do our part to honor and glorify your name, actually build your kingdom, and turn the hearts of this world back to you. I pray you be with everybody that's listening to this lesson tonight. I pray that if they're the things that they're not doing to be obedient to you and your will for their life, I pray you help them see the importance of making a decision, start being obedient, Lord, and give them the want to and the desire, and bring them under conviction to do so they may be able to receive these wonderful blessings that you have for those that's able to be obedient to your will for their lives. And I pray you be with all the others that's sick and shut in and maybe going through some health problems or some kind of problems, Lord, and because of these problems they tend to want to turn their hearts away from you. Just continue to be with them, Lord. You're Jehovah Rapha, the God that heals. Keep your healing hands upon them so they may be able to get through whatever it is, the illness that's trying to keep them from doing your work. Or just continue to be a wall of protection around them, give you a power, love, and wisdom over any problem may arise that may keep them from doing your work. Just be with us all, keep us all safe and protected. And I pray you also protect all your faithful servants, give us all the power, love, and wisdom or anything that will keep us from doing your work, and give us the guidance we need so we can continue to go forth in this world, and the encouragement and enthusiasm we need to go forth doing this work, no matter what our ministry say or no matter what this world say. And I pray you be with all your faithful, honorable servants that put their health, life, and safety at risk. All those in the military, law enforcement, rescue services, and medical services, people of those natures. Be a wall of protection around them. Help them see no matter how far away from home they are, they're never too far away from you. Give them your power, love, and wisdom over any problem may keep them from serving, and give them the wisdom to make the right decisions, especially when it comes to life and death situations, Lord, so they may be continue to be able to make it back home safely and keep others safe. Keep their family safe while they keep other families safe as well, and just continue to use them in a mighty way to honor and glorify you. Thank you for this time tonight. Thank you for your word as always. Thank you for you letting your spirit work through me. And I pray that these words will go out and not return in vain. Touch the hearts of those that need to hear it and make a change in them so they may come closer to knowing you. We love you so very much. Thank you for once again for another wonderful session. And we say this prayer in your wonderful son, Jesus' name. Amen. All right, man. Thank y'all for hanging in there, Miss Alicia. Thank y'all for hanging in there. And I keep praying for you as well, because I know that vehicle help you and Mr. Leo. That'll be a tremendous help. So keep praying for it. Be patient. The Lord, He gonna take care of it. But again, I love you all. Sorry about the sickness and the low energy. But hopefully by next week, I get back to where I need to be and I can bring out this word. But again, I'm praying that this word is the work. Without my efforts, will not go in vain, and somebody will hear this and be helped by it. But again, till next week, y'all tune back in next Monday, 7 o'clock. And until then, I love you all. I will continue to pray for y'all. Y'all continue to pray for me. And remember to always, every day, watch your back and pray. So until next time, I love y'all. Peace.